Unlike several other ThinkPads this year, the X series has not gotten a design refresh. The x201 doesn't even get the new keyboard from the T400s that enlarges the escape and delete keys. Accordingly, what you'll get is the classic black rectangle design. The only change is the new option for the diminutive touchpad built into the palm rest. The ThinkPad X series traditionally relied on a track point as the sole pointing device, to avoid any compromise in the form factor or keyboard, making this a rather important update. Lenovo of course made this change for the corporate world primarily. Not having a touchpad can be an excluding factor when a company is researching vendors, so it's better to have than have not. This same story is why the T410 got 4 USB ports instead of the traditional 3. The touchpad dimensions are roughly 2.4 inches by 1.2 inches. This is a fair amount of room to do some casual mousing, but the hardcore touchpad user will be left wanting more space. At least the pad's performance is great, as all ThinkPad touchpads are. Screens are typically the Achilles heel of ThinkPads, and unfortunately the X201 hasn't made up any ground there. While the 12.1-inch WXGA panel isn't terrible, it's plainly unimpressive. The colors all seem muted and dull. Viewing angles are also nothing special, but at least you aren't left constantly adjusting the display angle looking for the sweet spot of the viewability. Being a ThinkPad, the multimedia part of our review is rather short. The X201 series received dual speakers up from the mono speaker found on the X6X models. While the speakers get reasonably loud, they won't overpower any significant amount of background noise and the lack of depth found in larger systems. Also, being an X series, the optical drive is not integrated and only available with the optional X200 Ultra base. One of the hallmarks of the traditional ThinkPad models, excluding the new ThinkPads like the Edge, L, and SL series, is that they all share the same or very similar robust feature set. This is especially impressive with the ultra-portable X series, which truly offers nearly every feature of the larger T and W series. Not only do you have a full array of ports and an express card slot for an expansion, but also the X201 uses full power Intel Core i5 and i7 processors. You won't find any of those ultra low voltage processors here. This 12.1-incher has all the processing power of its big brothers. On the left side of the X201, you'll find an express card slot, a Wi-Fi switch, a USB 2.0 port, Ethernet port, VGA output port, a fan, and an AC plug port. On the right side, you'll find another USB 2.0 port, a headphone jack, microphone jack, a modem, and a Kingston lock slot. While the X series has always prided itself on mobility, that doesn't necessarily mean over-the-top battery life. We remember back in the day when a certain low-end consumer notebook could get amazing runtimes thanks to its massive 12-cell beast strapped to the back of it. Such a design would not fit to the ThinkPad ethos and compromise functionality. When putting the X201 through our usual paces of heavy web browsing and extended Netflix watching, the 6-cell battery lasted about 4 hours. You might be able to stretch a bit more of runtime out of the 56-watt 6-cell or the 84-watt 9-cell option, which would last about 6 hours in the same circumstances. If you don't mind the extra half-inch protruding from the rear, the 9-cell is a great long-life option. Lenovo has a consistent thing going with their traditional ThinkPads. High on features, low on heat noise, and a few compromises except the display. That really sums up using the X201, as it does with most other ThinkPads. It is plenty fast and only lacks discrete graphics for performance despite having the same full power Core i5, i7 chips stuffed into it. It stays plenty cool and mostly quiet. What we really liked about the Lenovo X201 was its strong feature set, its full Core i5 and i7 processors, and its optional touchpad. What we really didn't like about it was its lackluster display and weak battery. The ThinkPad X201 can do nearly everything a full-size notebook can do and will disappear into your bag without a second thought. When you're shopping for an X201, don't forget to watch out for the 15 to 20% coupons on logicbuy.com.